Already, by this time of the year, the ladybugs are, you know, put it this way, if I come out there this morning, the ladybugs have dwindled down just a few that I couldn't get enough to make a stew out of to save them. Just simply not enough of them. But, yeah, there was enough to make a little snack on, you know. And my wife and I were talking about different ways that to fix ladybugs. Mostly it's just in a stew, you know, or eating them pretty much raw on crackers, and they're good. But a friend of mine commented on it, and he asked me something, and my answer, of course, was no. He said, "Have you ever put stink bug butter on your ladybug crackers?" Well, I never thought about that. But you can rest assured I'm going to, because boy, it sounds good. Stink bug butter on ladybug crackers. I mean, it sounds wonderful. Diane and I were talking this morning. Be nice if you figure out some way to grill, but they're so doggone little that they just put them on grill, they just fall right through, you know. But we're trying to see if we can't come up with and figure out how to get that built up a little higher. Come up with some kind of a mesh that's fine enough that you put them on the grill. Because if you put them on just regular grill, they just fall right through. I mean, you're just wasting your time. You're just wasting your ladybugs. They fall right down in the fire. So, the most screen wire it's got today is either plastic, and that ain't gonna work, or if it's such thin aluminum that it melts and warps and just does everything. That don't work. It's gonna have to have some kind of a steel mesh that's fine enough to keep them ladybugs from falling down through it. Huh. That might take some doing. Find a good steel mesh that small. Probably be worth the effort. We'll give it a whirl here. See if we keep finding one. You know, it's cold this morning. Real cold. Even cold here in the Quigley. Got my stove over here. That knocked the chill off. But it's amazing how cold it is. And how cold it is, and how many leaves are still on the tree. I mean, there's so many cotton picking leaves still on the trees that I can't see back in the woods very far at all. I mean, I can't see back in the woods very far at all. See if a deer is maybe, you know, coming toward the fields there. You just look up and they're out there in the field, because there's just an abundance of leaves still hanging up. Up in the mountains, where we go up there, you know, higher elevation, spend the first part of the season, it's ain't nowhere near the amount of leaves you got here. They're By the time we leave up there, I mean, when you get there, there's still a fair number of leaves. But by the time, I mean, the woods are still open, but by the time you leave, I mean, might as well say most of the leaves are gone. And then come back down here, a lot lower elevation, and the farm here is real protected. It's a little protected pocket. I mean, it's a little bowl, a little basin, and it's protected from most winds and all like that. And so the leaves hang on for quite a bit longer here than they do up in the mountains. But my land this year, they're showing themselves. Somebody must have come through with a bunch of super glue or something and glued them on there. It's just, there's an abundance of leaves. I mean, it's beautiful. I can't complain about that. It's pretty. Well, I'll trade the pretty for being able to see back in the woods a ways. And my land, I mean, not just a ways around the edge when the leaves are pretty much gone. I can see all the way up to the top of the mountains and stuff. I mean, you can see deer meandering through the woods and everything up there. You couldn't see an elephant going through the woods right now. Unbelievable. Maybe a storm or wind or rain or something come through here and strip most of them off before too long. Right now, it's just too many leaves. Oh well. Just have to be adaptive, I reckon. Well, like I said, sitting out here on this cold morning, it's cold. Very cold. I watched for deer a little bit out here in Quigley. Of course, when you're sitting out here all by you lonesome, you got a lot of time to think. So, in my case, that thinking sometimes be bad. Oh Lord, give you a headache, you know. But anyway, I put up a little video here a while back. The ramblings from an old deer hunter. Well, do a little more rambling here. And I get to thinking about the difference in hunters today, the average hunter today, and people roughly anywhere near my age. Now, throughout the early part of my hunting career as a young boy, young man and stuff, we didn't have all the entertainment that you got today. You didn't have social media and all the games and all that stuff that people got. Didn't have any of that stuff. And if you're interested in something like hunting, like I was, hunting wasn't just something that you did, you know, up in the fall. I mean, that was, hunting was a way of life. It's what you did year round. You hunt, and I'm a gun nut. I'm a confirmed gun nut. I like firearms and I like shooting. I like just fooling around with guns. I'm a gun nut. So I study them. You know, I've studied them. And like I said, for all those years, you didn't have all the entertainment you got today. So your hunting and shooting was a year-round thing, and you studied it and read everything, get your hands on, and all that. And you studied. You You studied ballistics. You studied the development of firearms. You know what makes them tick and how to make a gun accurate and the best ways to shoot it and just everything. And I watched everything change over the years from like for the first part of my hunting career. For instance, just take bullets. Bullets were highly unreliable. I mean, you have the same box of bullets, whether it be factory ammo or whether you hand loaded. I mean, it really didn't matter. You might shoot one bullet at an animal and it just punched right on through, didn't expand or nothing, just punched right on through. And the next one out of the same box will allow blow up on contact. Now, a lot of people today, most hunters today, they just they take good bullet performance for granted, but boy, that hadn't always been. When the velocities begin to increase, you begin to get the higher velocity stuff, which came primarily from the efforts of Roy Weatherby. These super high velocities, man, God, bullets just wouldn't hold up to it. And when you start getting above the performance of what a lead bullet would do at moderate velocities, and we used those for so many years, you pretty much had that down pat, you know, performance of lead. But when you start getting up in those higher velocities, well above 2,000 feet, and you got up into 3,000, 3,500, even 4,000 feet. I mean, those high velocities, the bullets just, some of them would melt in the air. Wouldn't even get to the target. They'd disintegrate right in the air. Be a big old black trail out there for a couple hundred yards and just disappear. Your bullet disintegrating in the air. Anyway, we didn't have good bullet performance or any of that kind of stuff, but we studied. The hunters studied, and they understood what's going on. Boy, that's not true today. It might be true of what I would call a hunter, but not a whole lot of people are hunters. Most people that hunt are not hunters. Most people that fish are not fishermen. That's not what they are. Me, I am a fisherman. Me, I am a hunter. That's what I do. That's what I am. I am a hunter. I am a fisherman. Most people are people that hunt or that fish. The average fisherman is someone that fishes occasionally. The average hunter is somebody that goes out, knocks the cobwebs off his gun or his bow, and goes out and hunts a little bit. He's not a hunter. It's not what he is. He don't live it. He hunts or they fish, and that describes most of the people today. They got too many things they like to do, too much entertainment. So they put the hunting just to most people is not what it was or is to someone like me. So they're a lot of them are not as informed as they should be. Now, I've got kind of a unique situation. Not only am I a gun nut, a hunter, fisherman, and that's what I do. I apply myself, I study it and all that stuff, but a lifetime member of a very large gun club, hundreds and hundreds. Actually, you could call them thousands of members. And I was president of the thing for many, many years. And for about 20 years, I pretty much devoted most of my time to the gun club. And of course, we had archers there too. It was all inclusive. You name it, we had it. We still had it. So I was exposed to about every kind of a shooting discipline and every kind of a weapon you could think of. And right now, I'm a neighbor to the gun club. The neighbor's just right there. I'm a next door neighbor to this club. I mean, in a lot of my videos, you'll hear shooting, and it's coming from the club. So I've been exposed to virtually anything you can think of when it comes to shooting or hunting sports and things of that nature. So I got a pretty good background in it, and of course, while you're president of the gun club, you're also chief safety officer, so you're responsible for the gun safety of a couple thousand people. You know, I mean, that can be a job. That can be a job sometimes. But anyway, so gun safety is something that you're familiar with. So I am a firearms instructor, an archery instructor, a gun safety instructor, all that sort of thing. And when you put up a video on YouTube, you just never know what kind of responses you're going to get. And for the most part, it's intelligent, thought-out responses. But sometimes you get responses that you just kind of shake your head at. I'm going to talk just a minute about a couple of them. One of them concerned muzzleloader. Now, like I say, I'm a traditional muzzleloader hunter, and on this particular rifle that this comment was on was a Dixie Tennessee Poor Boy, and that gun you can make it flintlock or caplock. Well, due to the fact that my old age trifleness comes along, I just realized, man, I'm out of flints, good flints. And good flints can be hard to come by. So I love the flintlock. I really love the flintlock, but I frigged around and then let myself run out of good flints. I surely did. So I used caplock, but it doesn't really matter whether it's the flint or the caplock. But the comment on this one was, the guy said, I don't know if that's the half-cocked safety notch on that gun or not, but to me, it's just way too high and dangerous. That thing could catch on a limb and discharge the way you just fling it around. You know, I just carelessly fling it around as I'm walking through the woods. Okay. First of all, he shows his total lack of knowledge of traditional firearms, okay, and safety for that matter. But anyway, on caplocks, side lock caplocks, some of the hammers, or the half notch, or the so-called safety notch, half cock notch, is just barely above the nipple, just barely above the nipple, kind of shrouds the nipple. And every one of them has their advantage and disadvantage, whichever way you want to look at it. So this one is right down pretty much over the nipple. It shields it and gives it a little bit of protection from the cap itself. But anyway, you got some that's right down over it and some that's backed off a little bit. And then like the Tennessee Poor Boy, there's a fair amount of distance between the hammer face and the nipple. Well, I prefer the higher one, and this is the one this fellow's all concerned about. You know, it's this high nipple that limb could catch it and it discharge or something. Well, anything mechanical, of course, can fail. But on this gun, the half-cock notch in the mechanism is extremely deep. I mean, it's positive. It's as positive as a half-cock notch can get. It's a deep notch, but it's steel, it's a mechanical thing. Could it fail? Of course it could fail. I mean, anything can fail. It's steel, but it could break. I mean, it's going to take a heck of something to do it, but is it possible? Of course it's possible. But anyway, the various ones, the low, the medium up and the somewhat higher half-cock notches. I like the high half-cock notch simply because I can put it on half-cock and I can put my percussion cap, when I use musket caps, I can put my musket cap on it with the gun in the half-cock notch, and I can decap it. I can just reach in there with my fingers and pull the cap off with it on the half-cock safety notch. On the lower ones, you have to pull the gun back to full cock to cap and decap, and then of course you have to get a hold of the hammer and pull the trigger and let the hammer down to its half-cock notch. So in my opinion, the higher one that you can cap and decap in the half-cock notch is the safer of the mechanisms. But this guy was really concerned about this hammer. I mean, which is, it's very normal, very typical. It's not unusual, it's normal for side lock, but he probably never fired a side lock in his life. But anyway, he was all concerned about that. And the way that I was waving that gun around, well, he's referring to, I still hunt. I'm on the move through the woods, deep woods, hadn't seen a hunter, not going to see a hunter, most likely. I can hunt for days and never see a hunter. But this guy, okay, gun safety, there's a lot of rules, you know, the 10 rules of gun safety or whatever. But, and all of them are important. Every gun safety rule is important. You don't need to ignore any of them. However, there's one. There's one gun safety rule that if you observe that rule, if you broke every other gun safety rule, you'd still be safe. You'd still be safe if you observe this one rule, period. Now you want to observe all of them, but if you just observe this one, you'll be safe. People be safe be around you, you be safe from yourself, okay? And that one rule is never point a gun, the muzzle of a gun, at anything you're not willing to kill. A lot of people put it this way: never point the gun at anything you're not willing to shoot. I like to bring it home a little bit stronger than that. Never point the gun, the muzzle of the gun, at anything you're not willing to kill. So if that gun muzzle is always, 100% of the time, pointed in a safe direction, you're safe. And if you did have an accidental discharge, no harm, no foul. So I'm walking around in the woods with this half-cock, you know, it's got on its high half-cock position. And if it did, which anything is possible, I mean anything is possible, if it did catch on something, and or for some crazy reason or another, that it caught on something and something else pulled or released the trigger and it failed, it could go off, yeah. But that gun was always pointed in a safe direction. It was never pointed at me. And never was there anybody else in the woods. Never. So anyway, I carry the gun either in so-called suitcase position or grab it by the, the balance point. Carry it down here at my arm, down there arm plant, so-called suitcase position. Or I cradle it across my arm occasionally to walk along with it, or I put it up over my shoulder, either hold it by the butt and the muzzle going back up here, or sometimes I'll grab it by the muzzle and carry it muzzle forward. That's the ways I carry the gun. And there's nobody there but me, and it's never pointed at me. And when you come around where there are people, and there are people around, the muzzle is always pointed skyward. Always. If there's anybody around, it's pointed skyward. Well, this guy is all concerned about me waving that gun around as I walk through, I still hunt through the woods. Yet at the same time, it's just, I'm just showing you a difference between modern hunters and older hunters, I guess. This guy, people that are that think my old traditional muzzleloader is unsafe, tickle the crap out of me. The one group in particular, and that's and this guy was of the AR platform type stuff, the tactical stuff. Now, remember, I said the most important rule in gun safety, as far as I'm concerned, is where you pointing that muzzle. Don't point that muzzle at something you're not willing to shoot. Well, they use this 1-point sling. And they get this sling around their neck, and that gun is hanging straight down their body right here. It's just hanging there. Now, the guy that thinks that I'm walking around the muzzle, nobody in the woods but me, and I'm just carrying my gun in the way I carry one, that's unsafe and all that stuff. Yet it's never the muzzle, never pointed at me and never anybody. He's standing there lecturing me with a gun hanging straight down his body. Straight down. It's just hanging straight down there. And you know, I'm standing there and I look, there's some things down there I just soon not shoot. And so this guy's all concerned about me. The safety notch on my guy, standing there with a goddamn gun pointing right straight down at, maybe he don't put the value on things down yonder that I do, but like feet and other things, a few other things down there. But standing there with a muzzle, pointing at parts of your body, and lecture me on how I carry a traditional muzzleloader. Heavens to Betsy. Oh, you have to laugh. I mean, standing there with a muzzle of a gun, pointing at his body parts. Oh, I don't know. That to me, the most important gun safety rule is never point a gun at something you're not willing to kill. Now, he's standing there talking to me about how a gun could go off. The gun could just accidentally go off because if I totally relied on this mechanical safety. Well, I don't rely just on that mechanical safety. I always keep my gun muzzle pointed in a safe direction. But this character is standing there totally relying on a mechanical safety with the muzzle pointing at himself. Now, and you get on, and you get, and you get in there and you're lecturing me about how I carry a gun when you've got a gun pointed at yourself. Oh my, oh my. Go figure. Go figure. Anyway. Got a few things that I'm going to have to do today, and so I'll put my just going to hunt a little while this morning, not very long. So I reckon I'll be closing it up here a little while, maybe. Talk soon.